How to easily scale from 1 flip per year to 10 flips or more per year. Many investors can get lucky and get one single deal done, but creating that life-changing wealth doesn't come until you figure out how to build this infrastructure that can handle 10, 12, 15, 20 deals or more per year. I've personally flipped over 400 properties in the past 20 years, and let me show you what I did. All right, guys, so the key here when it comes to scaling from doing your first flip to doing multiple flips really comes down to having a finding strategy. Biggest thing you've got to do is come up with a way that you can consistently find properties. Now, there are going to be some ebbs and there are going to be some flows, some ups and some downs, but you want to know what are my numbers. And the most important thing you can do is start learning how to find properties, both off market and on market properties. And what I mean by that is you've got to start tracking your numbers. So for instance, if you're sending postcards, you can say, how many postcards do I have to send in order for me to get one deal? And then you determine what your cost per acquisition, which basically means how much money does it cost me to acquire a deal? And then you know, and you can budget for that much money. Now that's going to be different based upon areas, and it's also going to be different if you're doing the labor yourself or if you're paying someone else to do it, or if you are doing postcards or those types of things. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you're going to go knock on doors and you find out for every 20 hours you knock on doors or 50 hours you knock on doors, you end up with a deal, then your cost to do that is pretty low because it's your time knocking on doors. Whereas if you spent money doing postcards, you could say it took me 5,000 postcards and that cost me $2,500. Now, you're going to be surprised because in some areas it's going to cost you $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 to find a deal, and in other areas it's going to cost you $1,000 to find a deal. It really just comes down to the numbers in that area. It comes down to the competition. It comes down to the profit margins you can have. So if it's going to cost you $20,000 or $30,000 to find a great deal, you better be making a pretty serious profit on that property, because you've got to not just cover your marketing expenses, but you need to make some money for taking on the risks. But it really comes down to tracking your results. And so that's one of the very first things I would say as you're doing that first deal, or as you've done that first deal, reverse engineer how that deal actually happened and figure out how you can replicate that in your specific marketplace. One of the things that I recommend doing is going after off-market properties. So the way that you can do that is finding people that have different needs. These could be properties that are vacant properties. These could be properties that have involuntary liens. These could be properties that are going through bankruptcy. These could be out-of-state owners or non-owner occupied properties, people that don't live in the properties, they're rental properties. These could be pre-foreclosure properties. These could be failed listing properties. You could also do something that I call MLS sniping, which is basically you find the properties that are on the MLS that are listed for less than what they may be worth if you went in and did some work. That's a strategy where you make a whole bunch of offers. But I recommend that you take one of these strategies, either door knocking or sending postcards or making phone calls or driving for dollars, going out there and making some of these deals happen with some relationships with real estate agents, or making relationships with attorneys, or working on bankruptcy properties. Whatever the case is, find one strategy and work it until you start to see results. But with that, you also have to make sure that you're tracking those numbers. How many phone calls am I making? How many contacts am I making? How many referrals do I need to get? And based upon that, how do I make a deal happen? One of the things this is doing is reverse engineering your success. Now, if you don't have any of this, you can start by just using some numbers, some ideas that are out there. We call it the next deal blueprint. We are basically saying, I want to get a deal. If I want to get a deal, how many offers do I need to make? If I want to make offers, how many appointments need to go on? If I want to go on appointments, how many prospects do I need to have? If I want prospects, how many leads do I need to have? How many phone numbers do I need to have? How many properties do I need to identify? And we reverse engineer that success, and then with that we can replicate it. So keeping track of what success looks like can really help you in determining how to scale your business. The other thing you've got to keep in mind is there is some cost associated with this. As you scale your business, it becomes more expensive. You've got to pay for some people, for some cell phones, for different things that may happen, maybe some technologies. Maybe you need to spend money on marketing. That first deal you found may have been a referral, or you just stumbled into it. Now you've got to figure out how to replicate that success by doing marketing time and time again, which is going to eat into your profit margins. And so you've got to plan for that, and you may have to get a little bit better deal. The next thing you've got to really come up with is finding a great contractor, because if you want to scale and get to 10 deals per year, you're going to have multiple deals going at the exact same time. And if your contractor isn't reliable and is not doing a great job with quality of workmanship or speed of getting it done, your contractor will kill you in interest and in fees that you're going to pay to a hard money lender, let alone timing and getting a property sold. So having a great relationship with general contractors or subcontractors that you know are dependable, are reliable, and do quality work is the next step in this. The first thing in scaling is coming up with a blueprint. The next thing in scaling is tracking all of your results and understanding what success looks like and what it needs to turn into. Next thing is doing the work to make sure you hit those numbers on an ongoing basis. Now, sometimes it's going to be a little less and sometimes it's going to be a little more, but if you can have confidence, if you put the work and the time in the end, in the aggregate, it will produce the results. I think that's one of the things that frustrates most people is they don't spend enough time putting their plan together, and when they're in the middle and they're in the trenches and they're digging and they're doing that type of stuff, they're not seeing success or not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But you've got to realize the law of averages. Even the best NBA players are going to go out there and have some bad scoring nights, but as a whole, they're going to have a great season because the averages catch up with them. Some games they go off the rails and score a whole bunch, and other games they don't do quite as well. The same thing's going to happen when you're dealing with your marketing. Some marketing is just not going to work out as well as you thought, but if it's a proven track record and you do it consistently, you'll start to have those results over the aggregate, which is what you're looking for. In addition to that, having that great contractor or subcontractor that you can rely on, that you can depend on, and that you can know is going to get it done in the time frame that you're asking for is the next thing that is critical in making sure you're able to scale your real estate fix and flip business. So I know this sounds like a lot of steps to master, but don't worry, I cover all of those in videos here on my channel. Also, I have a world-class system called the Find Fund Flip system with training videos, marketing downloads, deal finding software, even 100% financing on your deals. If you'd like to complete a system to do all of this and do your first flip, fix and flip and to scale to where you want to be, then click the link on the screen and get started today.